Hello, gents. Welcome to the Primetime Fantasy Podcast. Back after yet another hiatus. We are here with the Week 2 fantasy predictions, here to talk about how each player is going to play. So we are ready to get into the news and notes. We're ready to get into the fan question of the week and ready to give you game-by-game analysis from the expert Nick and the Flash Garrett and the substance Nick. Let's get into it. How are you feeling?
All right, Garrett, let's get into the news and notes. Obviously, Le'Veon Bell. It looks like he's going to play Monday night. What are your plans with Le'Veon Bell if you own him?
Yeah, it was a weird situation because he went from, in a span of hours, looking like he was going to play to, oh, shoot, you should grab Ty Montgomery, and then now it's looking like he's going to play again. I don't know. It depends on your running back depth, but I don't know if I would start him simply because it looks like he's going to be a game time decision. If he is, that's rough because it's Monday night.
Yeah.
And you better hope that Ty Montgomery's still available on the waiver if possible. So if you have space, I think you would pick him up, just in case, because I think a lot of people will depend on Le'Veon Bell to be an RB1, if not an RB2, at the very least. So weird situation. I would not want to be a Le'Veon Bell owner right now.
If I own Le'Veon Bell, I would be starting him because I drafted him on my team for a reason. He's going to be my first or second best player on the team. So I'm definitely you have to play the risk. And if he sits out Monday night, you have to have that backup plan, whether it's Ty Montgomery or one of the Cleveland Browns backups, which aren't appealing. But you got to go with your guys, your top guys on your team. It's a good matchup. You've seen what Derrick Henry did to the Browns. The Browns defense was pretty underwhelming, and so I definitely would start Le'Veon Bell, and if he game time decision, he can't play, I want to have Ty Montgomery to plug in there.
And the weird thing is like, you don't draft Le'Veon Bell because of the Jets organization or the Jets rushing offense. You draft him because he's Le'Veon Bell. He's that talented. So it's not like Ty Montgomery's going to come in and be able to.
An important thing to know, however your league is, most leagues are 2 running back, 2 receiver, 1 flex, and that flex you can start a running back. I would place Le'Veon Bell in that flex area, and if he doesn't play, you can start maybe a Jamison Crowder just for receptions, or you can start maybe David Njoku. So you can start somebody there, Jarvis Landry, whoever it is.
Right.
But don't clog up your running back spot with him. Put him at flex, and you can always adjust, and you're not stuck starting a running back.
And if you're in our league and you're stuck putting him a running back because our flex
stuck.
Doesn't, you are in a tough situation.
But he's definitely, when you drafted him, you're relying on him to play every week, so you can't sit him.
You got to double down.
And he had a pretty, that was a floor of a game. It wasn't great, but that's still what I said. He's going to get you 5-6 catches. He had a touchdown reception and a 2-point conversion.
There you go.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
All right, Garrett, let's get into the fan question
of the week.
Day. Yep.
Yes.
So it's a 2-part question, or 2 questions.
All right.
For number 1, what would you do with David Montgomery? A lot of people are kind of shocked or down on him. What would you do with him?
See, this is, if you don't own David Montgomery, I think this is the perfect time to buy low. If you own him, I think this is a good time to keep him. So I think David Montgomery, and I said this from the beginning, I don't think he's someone who is going to get a ton of notice week 1, week 2, etc. But I think the more the season shifts and the more the Bears start to unload like what their offense looks like, what all their offense can do, I think that's David Montgomery will become more of a focal point. So I didn't think he was going to be a huge part of game 1. I was right, and surprisingly, and I think he might not do a whole lot this week too. But if you keep him, and I think you're going to reap the rewards.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. If you have an owner in your league that started Montgomery and kind of was disappointed, I would definitely be looking to trade for him. You could probably get him, pretty reasonably. I think long term he's going to be a nice running back to own. I had him behind Josh Jacobs, and I know a lot of people that had him ahead of Josh Jacobs, and I just didn't agree with that. Tariq Cohen's heavily involved, and Mike Davis got like 11 touches. So it's not the situation to Oakland where it's just Josh Jacobs. So there is that, but I would not sell him and just move off him. He's someone that you draft it and wait 7-8 weeks, and then if you're really disgruntled, you need help elsewhere, then you can trade him. But don't sell low on him.
Yeah, a good trade option for Montgomery might be a guy like Cortland Sutton or one of these other like guys who kind of blew up week 1 but might not do as well the rest of the year. I want to say Deshaun Jackson, but I'm starting him this week, so I'm kind of depending on him to have another good week.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're like
another guy, Sammy Watkins, maybe. But but the thing is this is just the thing with Watkins is he's still going to be the Chiefs' #1 receiver for 5-6 more weeks, so that's appealing. But depending on, maybe you drafted Watkins in like the 11th round or 10th round or whatever, and
right,
it's not like you already have Julio Jones, you already have great receivers, so it's not like you're
stretching
wide receiver, and you would like to get a running back that you don't think you would have got otherwise. So I think maybe you could, because I think Montgomery's going to be good at the end of the year, and he can definitely help you out. And I think Watkins will fade back into that inconsistent role once Tyreek Hill returns.
Right, and that's a trade you got to make, I think, a few weeks from now, because if he goes off against Oakland, I know I projected him not to, but if he does, that's only going to boost his trade value, I think.
Yeah, but for me personally, I'm always going to be worried about giving up too much for Sammy Watkins. It's nice to have him because there's no risk. You didn't trade away, an elite asset. So I think he returns that inconsistent role when Tyreek Hill's there, and
no one projected 3 touchdowns.
That's why I might have sold high on Sammy Watkins and try to get a guy like David Montgomery who had a bad week.
Yeah, this has now become what would you do with Sammy Watkins? What's the next question?
Part 2. Where do you rank Devontae Freeman this week? He has 2 other running backs that he's trying to consider at the running back 2 spot. It's Duke Johnson, Miles Sanders.
If those are your options, yikes. That's all. That was when he read this question off right before we started. I just said yikes, because that's tough place to be in. I do think Devontae Freeman's a low end RB2 at best. Going up against the Eagles. The Eagles' run defense is a lot better than the pass defense. And so I think Devontae Freeman's going to kind of be the guy they try to shut down. Miles Sanders, I'm not sure what he did. I'm not sure what Duke Johnson or Miles Sanders did week 1. But
Duke Johnson had a pretty good game.
See, and that's what I was, because like the Texans and Saints.
But I like Duke Johnson more. This is a standard league question. I like Duke Johnson more in point per reception league.
Oh, yeah.
And so.
Important to note.
So. With this one, I think I would lean Devontae Freeman. I don't love it, but he disappointed last week at Minnesota.
Oh, yeah.
He busted bad, one of the biggest busts of the week. And the most concerning thing is him and Ito Smith shared snaps. It was like 50-50. It wasn't 60-40, 70-30. It was almost exactly 50-50, and that's the most concerning thing. Not necessarily having a bad game, but having a bad game and only having 50% of the backfield snaps.
Yeah, and Miles Sanders, I don't know if we know he doesn't have a clearly defined role yet, so it's kind of like
it's still him, Jordan Howard, Darren Sproles. They all had equal touches.
Yeah, you're throwing dart at a board if you're starting
Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders is another buy low candidate. As far as someone might have drafted him. There's all this hype around him. You can go get him for cheaper than what may be required to get him later. So I would start Devontae Freeman, but the Eagles have a really good defense, and I would just temper my expectations. He's probably a low-end RB2.
Yeah, you're going to lose no matter what, so you're
you don't know the rest of the team.
Well, yeah, I know. I'm just messing, but yeah, that's a tough spot. So now we're going to go into the game-by-game predictions. By the time you're listening to this, you will already know what happened to the Thursday night game.
So we can't really dive into that.
I want to give a few poll predictions. I think I have Chris McCaffrey on my team. I'm going to predict 150 yards from scrimmage and 2 touchdowns. I'm thinking 2 touchdowns for Chris McCaffrey.
That sounds crazy, but it's not crazy because the Buccaneers are bad.
All right, Jameis Winston, I'm thinking, around
3 or 4 interceptions.
Really?
I think he probably throws 2 interceptions tonight.
I think
just part of his game.
Yeah, we record this on Thursdays. I'm thinking 160 yards, a touchdown, no picks. I'm going to say no picks for Jameis tonight.
160 yards? What, is Ronald Jones going to run for 200 yards tonight?
And then the Carolina defense has
I mean, Carolina is probably one of the top three defensive matchups this week because they will.
they're on the
turn
waiver, I
ball
think,
over.
in our league.
Yeah,
You gotta pick that. You gotta pick that
but
up.
obviously, it's by the time you hear this, it'll already be too late. But that's not surprising. It's on almost all platforms. Carolina's defense is projected to be a top 5 defense this week.
Huh. And I'll say Ronald Jones. I'll say 76 yards, no touchdowns. I'm gonna say that's
76.
76. I think Tampa Bay and a score prediction. I'm gonna say Carolina 27, Tampa Bay 10. I'm gonna get all those wrong, and you are gonna laugh at me because you already know
Well,
what
I think
happened.
you
But
got the McCaffrey one right.
all right,
It's such a good matchup, and he boomed last week against the Rams. So I mean, the matchup lightens up here.
all right.
So I think you're right on the McCaffrey one. All right, what's the first game of the
All right,
week?
first game of the week. We're gonna get into the Cardinals at the Ravens. What a comeback by the Cardinals to come back and at least tie the Lions last week.
I think the Cardinals are a bad football team.
They are,
I think
yeah,
they
they're
just
still a bad
played
team.
well down the stretch. I would be firing up all my Baltimore Ravens this week.
Oh, for sure.
I think I talked about Lamar Jackson being
He's in for a
big
big week.
and he hit on that. And it wasn't all rushing. He only had like 5 yards rushing. So I think he rushes
Not
more
bad
this
for a
week.
running back.
I think he rushes more this week. I think he probably 50, 60 rushing yards at least. I think he will rush this week, and if he gets to that 50 yards rushing and a touchdown, then it doesn't matter what he does in the air.
Yeah, and Cardinals are just not a good team, and so
No.
I think, especially defensively, I think.
I don't like the matchup either. I would sit Kyler Murray at Baltimore. That's,
Oh, yeah,
that's a tough matchup. I mean, you might be able to. Obviously, you're starting David Johnson, but
Right.
there's got to be some tempered expectations. He got saved last week on the 20-yard touchdown catch he had.
Yeah.
Or else it would have been a very pedestrian week for him. I don't love the Cardinals this week, and I love the Ravens. Mark Ingram, fire him up as an RB2.
You think where does Marquise Brown? Where does he finish out?
I think he's boomer bust. He's one of those guys like a Deshaun Jackson, and he had a boom week. So
You think he?
I
booms this week too?
just have trouble starting a guy who gets 4 catches and
Yeah.
and he has 2 touchdowns. That's pretty, that's difficult to rely on.
Yeah.
But I like Lamar Jackson. I like Mark Ingram. I mean, the Baltimore Ravens were up so bad last week. I think Gus Edwards had like 12 carries. I mean,
Yeah, they sent in
just-
RG3 to do the
Yeah.
cleanup work. That was.
but I would just start. Lamar Jackson is a top 5 quarterback play for me this week again. Mark Ingram's a top 24 play at the running back.
Oh, for
spot.
sure.
And then for Brown, he's one of those guys that's a hit or miss.
If you need help at your receiver position, I think he's a good flex. I think he's a good flex this week.
I think he's a flyer at flex.
He's a flyer. All right.
Yeah, and he hit last week, but I think you could get 3 for 30 yards this week.
And Marquise Brown is someone who, if he booms again this week, sell, because I don't think he's going to continue that throughout the rest of the year.
Yeah,
And-
Mark Andrews is a tight end one for me. He had 100
Oh,
yards
yeah.
and a touchdown.
He's going to do
He's one
well.
of those guys where you kind of like in that middle tier where like even at the end like after the O.J. Howard and Evan Ingram went, then you picked up Mark Andrews, and I think he's a good season-long play.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, he's going to be I think he's a tight end 1 at the end of the year. I had him ranked 10th, I believe, before the season started.
Yeah.
So, and that's, I still stand with that. Next game, we're going to get into the Lions versus the Chargers. Lions are at home. Do you like any of besides Carry On and probably Kenny Galladay, do you like any other Lions this week? Hawkinson, maybe?
I would have Kerryon Johnson as an RB2.
Really?
They didn't really
yeah.
get him involved in the game plan last week. It's kind of surprised. He started off okay, and then he had like a nice run taken back on a penalty, and they just never. I keep bringing up C.J. Anderson. They want to get him the ball. He had 10 carries last week.
Yeah.
I think they try to get Johnson involved more this week, and I think he has a bounce back week. Stafford, to me, I talked about him last week. I thought he was a QB1 play. I think he's a high-end quarterback 2 play, and
You think
depends
so?
on if you have a tough matchup and you don't want to start one of your higher-ranked quarterbacks.
You're higher on Stafford than I am. I think I don't see Stafford as a good
I mean, he
QB
threw for
play.
385 and was it three?
He did good last week. He did go at,
Yeah,
and I
I'm
think
not saying he's a QB1 this week. I just think there's no Derwin James. That defense is a little bit banged up, and I would consider him
also a little bit
high-end
tired due to the
quarterback.
overtime game. Or actually, so is the Lions. So it doesn't matter.
Hawkinson surprised me. I knew he was a good player. I knew when they drafted him, obviously the talent was there. I just didn't know he'd go for
Neither did I.
130 yards and a score. But he to me, he's still a kind of a unknown.
You think so?
I mean, you can start him at tight end, but
If you don't
I
have
wouldn't
anything else,
expect 100 yards and a touchdown again.
neither would I.
Galladay disappointed. He only had like 45 yards receiving against a banged up Cardinals secondary. That was not impressive. He had a couple drops in the game. He still, to me, is a low end wide receiver.
And I think Stafford tried to target a lot of different pass catchers during that game. I think.
Amendola got involved. Everyone got involved.
Yeah.
They threw the ball. To me, as far as the Lions trying to win the game, they threw the ball too much. And Stafford threw the ball like 45 times. That's just the offense is centered around running the ball,
Right.
and getting the ball to the tight end. And they got the ball to the tight end, but they faltered down the stretch and they blew a 24-6 lead.
Jeez,
and
yeah.
they tied. So I think it's a tougher matchup, but it is at home. I think Johnson's in for a good week, and I think. I have Galladay low-end wide receiver too, and Hawkinson is still unknown for me. But I would start him, depending on your situation.
Right, and the Chargers' pass defense is better than the run defense, I think, over there. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Eckler had a day on them on the ground and in the air. I think their front seven is good for rushing the passer, but
You talking about Marlon Mack or?
yeah, Marlon Mack. Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
Marlon Mack had 170 yards rushing,
Right.
and that's the guy that I talked about early on. I had him as my RB9, and people were surprised. I was like that. They have a great offensive line.
Oh, yeah.
If he has a game script of getting 20 carries, that's going to happen.
Yeah,
It's not 174 yards going to happen, but 100 yards rushing is going to happen.
I agree.
I think as far as the Chargers, really quick, Eckler to me is
Start for sure.
in PPR. He's an RB1.
Oh,
As
yeah.
crazy as that sounds, he'll have receptions. Justin Jackson had decent day. He's like a
Flyer.
deeper league flex option.
Yeah.
Rivers, I don't love the matchup for Rivers this week. Low end quarterback 1, high end quarterback 2, just along with Stafford.
Yeah.
And Hunter Henry, the latest
He's gone.
report on him I saw was
Yeah.
4 to 6 weeks. So
Yeah, and I don't know who the backup is. So I wouldn't.
they brought back Antonio Gates, but
Did they?
yeah, I would not be considering Antonio Gates.
Neither would I, but I had no idea that.
Right. What about you? What are your thoughts on the Chargers?
I mean, yeah, I kind of agree with you there. Keenan Allen's going to be in for a good week, I think. One of the things that I like, there wasn't. Well, I guess it's the Cardinals, but they didn't really try to shut down. The Lions defense didn't try to shut down one receiver last week, but I guess that's due to there isn't really one receiver on.
Well, I mean,
Larry Fitzgerald.
early in the game, they kind of were shut down. And then it was just like late third quarter, and then everything just fell apart. I don't know if they were tired.
They
I don't know
Detroited.
what it was, but they kind of stymied them, and then all of a sudden Murray got going, and then they couldn't
Yeah.
stop him.
I think Keenan Allen's a good play. I think.
The one concern with that is I think Slay's going to be on Allen, and Darius Slay was targeted 4 times last week. He gave up 1 catch.
Right.
And, they looked at the stat sheet, and Larry Fitzgerald had a really good game, right?
Okay.
Larry Fitzgerald's lining up in the slot a lot. No, they targeted Darius Slay 4 times. He gave up 1 catch. So,
And I think they run.
and I think he sees a lot of Keenan Allen this week.
Well, I think they run a defense where it's going to be Darius Slay's going to have like his side of the field, and whoever he lines up with is just who he covers. I don't know if they're going to put Slay on Allen, and this is getting more into schematics than it is into fantasy.
But
right?
it is a real thing because
Yeah.
if you have an elite cornerback covering a wide receiver, that does affect. That just does. It just
Yeah.
affects his number.
You think Mike Williams is a good flex play?
Yeah, flex play. I would start
Yeah.
him as a flex.
I agree. All right, next game we are getting into is the Indianapolis Colts at the Tennessee Titans. What an interesting
And
situation.
I
for
was
both
talking
teams.
about the Titans on our last podcast, and I talked about how the Titans are a pretty underrated team. Their defense is better than most people
I kept thinking
know.
about you when they
Yeah,
got
their
those 3
defense
picks.
is better than most people know, and look what they did to Cleveland. I like Jacoby Brissett. I like the Colts overall as a team, but I think this is a tough matchup. It's
Yeah.
in Tennessee, right?
Yep.
I think that's a tough matchup. I don't think they get game scripted out because I don't love Mariota and I just don't think they're a great offense. But I would the Titans defense is a defense I like a lot, so I would temper my expectations on T.Y. Hilton. He had 2 touchdowns last week. Marlon Mack, I would temper my expectation. I wouldn't expect 170 yards rushing again.
Yeah.
And Ebron busted last week. Doyle didn't do much.
I wonder if their tight ends are really.
You think they're in for a bounce back week this week?
No, I wonder if they're in for a bad year.
Oh,
I wonder if Brissett targets the wide receivers more than he does the tight ends.
Yeah, it didn't seem to affect Hilton last week, but it did affect Ebron. And
right.
Ebron did drop a touchdown pass, but
what's new?
right. For the Titans, Derrick Henry, I talked about him.
Good RB2, I think.
And when I talked about Derrick Henry, I was like, if he could just be a little bit more consistent, he would be an RB1.
Yeah.
Because he's just so big and he's just a good running back, and he had a 75-yard touchdown.
And they go to him
reception.
a lot, yeah.
I think the game scripts here, I think he has a good week this week. I don't see the Colts outpacing them in Tennessee, so
right.
I'm high on Henry. A.J. Brown, the rookie they drafted, had a good week last week. I
don't know if he does that
he's
again.
He's still someone that's kind of like, unknown. I want to see it again.
Yeah.
Corey Davis, disappointed. Not high on Corey Davis this week. Delaney Walker, I'm high on. He had 2 scores.
Yeah, Walker's
I think he has a good role in that offense, and Mariota looks for him because that's his safety valve.
Yeah,
so.
Crazy to think how 1 week changes everything. I think the last time we were on here, we were not wanting to talk about the Titans at all.
No,
now
we were
kind
trashing because I was trashing because I wasn't high on Mariota or Tannehill, and Mariota played well last week, but I'm still not as high on the receivers. I'm high on the running back Henry, and I'm high on Delaney Walker.
Yeah, and Deion Lewis, I don't think is a good play.
He would be like a desperation flex play.
Oh yeah, desperate. I think, and I agree with that. All right, getting into the next game, the San Francisco 49ers at Cincinnati to take on the Bengals.
It looks like the last report I saw, it looked like Joe Mixon, who was questionable coming this week. It looks like he's going to play. And obviously you have the luxury of he plays on Sunday. It's not like it's a Monday game, so you can obviously switch that out. But it looks like he's going to play. He had a bad week last week. I think part of that's just a bad matchup at Seattle. It's a tough game. Andy Dalton threw the ball a lot. So I think Joe Mixon's in for a bounce-back week.
Yeah,
and
if he's healthy.
Yeah, but the last report said he should play this week.
Oh, really?
So it's more like 80-20 that he's going to play this week.
Okay, I was wondering if you stash Gio Bernard because I thought it was a little worse than that.
If you own him, you should have picked him up on the waivers by now. You should have even had him as a bench option, just as a handcuff.
Yeah.
But I think he plays this week, so
right.
I'm not concerned about that. Andy Dalton
still
had
sucks.
400 yards passing last week.
Oh well.
Right. To me, he's still a quarterback too because I just can't trust him.
Yeah.
Tyler Boyd, I like a lot.
I think John Ross duplicates what he did.
He's another one of those guys who's like a Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah.
He looks phenomenal. You watch him play and you're like, this guy is a burner. He had
right.
like the fastest 40 times
ever.
Yeah. And so he looks phenomenal, but you got
to see it again.
out there.
Yeah.
He had a good week. I would have picked him up and put him on your bench. And depending on your team, if you needed a flex play, he would be a flex consideration for me.
Yeah. Boyd is all right last week, didn't you? Wasn't
he was. I think he had 8 catches for 80 yards last week. So
yeah, he's
pretty safe. That was not a
safe
bad
play.
Week.
I like. Yeah.
And he was targeted 11 times, so that's what you like to see.
Yeah. And then going into the 49ers, I think Jimmy Garoppolo could be a good option if you're desperate not desperate. I think he's a high end quarterback too, similar to. I think he's a little lesser than Stafford and Rivers, as we were talking earlier. The running backs, Matt Breida got a lot of the touches.
Yeah.
And
Coleman's not playing week 2.
Coleman will be out for a minute. I don't know if I trust Breida to get enough carries or enough touches to really produce. I think he might be a good flex play. Other than that, I don't.
Not Eifert. George Kittle.
George Kittle's a good. Yeah.
He's an elite tight end for me. The reports I saw, I didn't actually watch the game because I was watching like a bunch of other games.
All right.
I guess he had a couple of touchdowns called back on penalties. So,
I saw that. I did see that.
You may have looked at his week and were a little bit disappointed, but
He's getting red zone targets.
He's targeted. He should have had a touchdown or two. So I'm not worried about George Kittle at all. It's not like he was targeted three times and it was like, where was he in the offense? So
and there wasn't any San Francisco receivers that really blew it up. So I'm not really looking to start any of them. Besides George Kittle, of course.
Yeah.
But
to me, it's Breida is a good option at flex.
Yeah.
I think he gets probably 15 touches at least. I'm not concerned about Raheem Mostert because
what's his name?
Raheem Mostert.
I don't know who that is.
That's their RB2 now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm high on George Kittle, and I would start Breida as a flex.
Yeah.
I'm not high on Garoppolo. I was a little bit disappointed he didn't tear up the Buccaneers secondary last week.
I mean, he didn't play terrible, but I mean, are you talking about Garoppolo?
Yeah, I could talk about Garoppolo.
Yeah, he didn't play terrible, but he didn't, for as bad as the Tampa Bay defense is, I don't think, because I think they have a better run defense than they do pass defense.
Well, he had 166 yards, a touchdown, interception. It wasn't a great week for him.
Not the best week.
And getting 160 yards against that team, I'm a little bit disappointed in.
All right. He's on my team. That's why Nick's trashing him. Getting into the next game, Jacksonville Jaguars are at the Texans. Nick, are you starting Gardner Minshew this week?
No. Get in the Jags.
That stash though, I like that guy. He only had 3 incomplete passes when he came in. If I saw that right.
Yeah, but I talked about how bad the Chiefs' defense is.
That's a good point.
It's kind of an embarrassment.
I would not start him against the Texans.
But for the Texans, I'm definitely starting Leonard Fournette. I think, the volume's there for Leonard Fournette to have a good week. I'm starting D.D. Westbrook. I'm not starting. I want to see more from DJ Shark with the C.
DJ Shark, yes.
He had a good week, but he only had 4 catches.
Yeah.
But I would start D.D. Westbrook as like a flex option at wide receiver.
He's really become the number 1 guy over there.
Well, he didn't have a great week last week.
He didn't have a great week, but he got the most targets, though.
But I think I would start him at the flex. I would start Fournette as an RB2, high-end RB2.
Fournette will do all right.
That's about it for me. I'm not high on the tight end. I'm not.
Gardner Minshew. Hey, listen, when they play the Chiefs again or they play one of these bad defenses, I'll be the first to tell you that's a deep waiver wire. Going into the Texans.
Obviously, I'm high on Deshaun Watson.
For sure.
I'm starting Duke Johnson as a flex option at running back. Carlos Hyde actually had like 8 yards a carry last week. If you're desperate at flex, I would start him as a flex. He could roll in for a touchdown.
I wouldn't.
A rushing touchdown this week.
Don't give him hope. I wouldn't talk about Hyde as a flex.
he had 10 carries for 83 yards. That's
not bad, but I don't think it's.
I think this week they will have goal line carries.
All right.
Also, DeAndre Hopkins. Is there anything to talk about here? I think he's one of the 3 best wide receivers in football, and it's not even close.
And we'll remind you every single week he's one of the best.
If you've seen that catch he made at the end of the game, that is one of the hardest catches because you have to control the process and just watching he's got to have the biggest hands.
He suplexed a guy.
You got to.
Yeah.
No, but I'm talking about the second to last play for the Texans. He caught the ball. He rolled out of bounds, and he had grabbed that ball with one arm, and like the whole time I thinking that ball's going to come out. Like, because you have to control the process, and I'm like, why isn't he like trying to tuck it in? He just he must have super hands because that ball was stuck on there like glue.
Yeah.
And it stayed on there. Hopkins to me is an easy wide receiver one this week.
Do you buy into Will Fuller?
Yeah, I like Will Fuller and I like Kenny Stills as well. I talked about
Stills did good. Stills played better. I thought.
He got bailed out from the touchdown. That's about.
Oh
it.
yeah,
but I think week 2 in the offense, I think Stills is a good flex consideration. He's in Miami. He was a deep threat option, and you seen what he did in Houston with like 5 days of preparation. So
right.
I think Will Fuller to me and Kenny Stills are both
flex options.
Good flex options to me. So I would be happy with them as my flex options. I think the Texans, they have a good week at home.
I agree. Minnesota Vikings at the Green Bay Packers. The Vikings offense.
Kirk Cousins threw the ball 10 times.
He did incredible.
If you are an Adam Thielen or a Stephon Diggs owner, you are That is not good.
Rolling
10 passes, not 10 attempts to one guy, 10 passes.
Well, I mean,
and I don't think this is like, obviously 10 passes is very low. That's not going to happen
I
every
know,
week. But I don't see him throwing 35 times a game like he did last year. You've seen the script they want to do. They want to feed. Alexander Madison is really impressive. They want to feed Dalvin Cook and Alexander Madison. 10 passing attempts shows you what they're going to be doing this year.
But it's
going to be a lot of running.
Yeah, but he still did good for the 10 passing attempts that he did.
He had 98 yards and a touchdown. That was a bad week for that was a bad week for Vikings passers or pass catchers.
I thought he had closer to 200.
I mean, Thielen got bailed out with a touchdown. He only got targeted 4 times and he got the touchdown.
Yeah,
I'm high on Dalvin Cook. I was high on him in my rankings.
Oh yeah, so was I.
He is an absolute. He is explosive. Like if you go back and watch those runs. It's like him and Saquon Barkley are the most
second
explosive.
gear. Yeah,
it's just like, but even just getting out of the backfield and hitting a hole, like it's just like you can see why Minnesota's so high on him.
Oh yeah, Packers defense not the best in the world.
Yeah, they are. They're really good.
Really?
I mean, did you watch Thursday Night Football at all?
I watched that. I thought that was the Bears' offense.
The Packers defense made a lot of adjustments. They made a lot of moves. They drafted a couple of guys.
Yeah.
The Savage, the safety, and Gary, who didn't really play much.
They have a lot of.
They just made a lot of moves on defense.
Well, yeah, they have a lot of potential, I think, but I don't think I wouldn't rank him in the top half of the league.
Well, I'm not saying I would start him as a defensive fantasy, but I would definitely temper my expectations on Vikings. I think this game. It could turn into a shootout where they're throwing the ball because Aaron Rodgers and last year they played it was a shootout. But
yeah,
the Packers defense is significantly better than last year. They get to the passer a lot better than last year, and they went and got a couple safeties. So I'm higher on the Packers defense, not starting them in fantasy, obviously.
Right.
But that's where I temper my expectations is on the Vikings this week.
Yeah,
and I think it's a tough week for them.
And even if he does pass for 20, 30 times, Where do you have?
Well, if he does that, then yeah, I'm higher. But I just don't see.
You don't think he will?
If the game script turns into the Packers are up 14-3 and they need to obviously, but the game script last week was not there for Minnesota. They had to just run the ball.
Right. Well, they dominated Atlanta, so
that wasn't even like close.
See, and I wonder if that plays into it too, because they're just so dominant. They're like, hey, let's just drain the clock out. We don't need to pass.
Yeah, but this is what they talked about. Last year was a bad year for the Vikings. They have a really good roster and they were terrible, and they had to go back to the drawing board and say, what do we do best? What's going to make us the best team? And so running the ball, and you've seen how they beat a good Falcons team. They demolished them. It's 28-0. The game may have finished 28-14 or whatever, but it was over. It was over, and they kind of took their foot off the gas. I'm concerned about Diggs. He battled an injury week 1, or he played through an injury. He didn't look good. He wasn't targeted a lot. Only 10 pass attempts. I'm concerned with Diggs. He would be, it's crazy to sound like this, but he's a flex option for me right now.
Yeah, I can't.
And Adam Thielen, to me, he's a low-end wide receiver too until the targets go up. I'm starting both of them this week.
Yeah.
If I roster them, I'm starting them. I just don't expect big weeks for them.
Okay. I got to see a game where they fall behind and say, they're down 20-10 or something like that, and it's, end of the third quarter, to see, are they still going to run the ball a lot, or are they going to switch, all right, we need to pass the ball more, and see, like, it's just situational football. I got to see them in a different situation before I say Diggs is going to suck this week. I still think Diggs is a good wide receiver 2 option, along with Thielen, the high-end wide receiver 2 options, because I think I can't see another game where they give like 20 attempts to, Dalvin Cook or however many.
I think Dalvin Cook easily gets 20 carries this game. The Vikings are going to Lambeau Field. It's a tough place to play. I don't think they want to get into a shootout with the Packers because Aaron Rodgers is significantly better than Kirk Cousins.
Oh yeah, I know.
And they know that limitation with Cousins. And so I think they ride Dalvin Cook, and then whatever happens. I'm down on Diggs, and I mean I like Thielen, but 4 targets, that's not great. He needs to get 11 targets to produce that high-end wide receiver 2, low-end wide receiver 1. He got bailed out with a touchdown, which is great, but I'm lower on them than you are.
Okay.
For the Packers, you own Aaron Rodgers. I'm starting him.
Of course.
I'm not as like Matt Ryan still had a decent day.
Yeah.
I mean, he started out terrible, right?
Right.
And then he still finished with like 300 something yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. That's not a terrible day.
Not awful. And I don't think, I don't see Aaron Rodgers turning the ball over.
I mean, his touchdown to interception ratio is great.
Yeah. So
I think you're fine starting Rodgers. He's a quarterback.
Even if he throws one, I think you're good.
Yeah. I just think at home, Lambeau Field, it's going to be Houston. I think he has a good week.
Yeah.
Devontae Adams had a bust week last week. I think he's in for. I mean, it's still, if he gets matched up with the Rhodes, that's not a good matchup.
Not a good matchup.
But I mean, you're not benching Devontae Adams because if you bench Devontae Adams, he goes for 102 touchdowns. Then you're
an
gonna
idiot.
be like sick the rest of your life. I'm starting Devontae Adams, but it temper my expectations with him.
Low end wide receiver 1, I think.
MBS I like this week. I think
So do I.
I think he could go. I think he showed last week 47-yard catch. He has the big playability. I like MVS as a flex option. I'm not as high on Geronimo Allison now because he wasn't really involved in the offense. So I
was never high on him, so I didn't really. Don't know what to say there.
Jimmy Graham to me is one of those flyers at tight end. You know, everyone thought. I mean, he had 10, 15, whatever points, but he had 30 yards receiving and he got bailed out with a touchdown. That Aaron Rodgers threw up a jump ball. He's hit or miss tight end. He needs.
I think he's going to miss this week, and I tweeted about this. I think he's one of the bust plays of the week because I think there's going to be a good amount of people that start him because they see, oh, we got a good amount of points last week.
Yeah.
But you're right. He did get bailed out with a touchdown.
Yeah, to me, Jimmy Graham's he's not a high volume tight end anymore. Where he was in New Orleans or sometimes in Seattle, where he can get you 8 catches and then if he gets a touchdown, it doesn't matter. To me, he's 2 or 3 catches, and now
he'll get around
he needs
2 or 3
that
points.
touchdown. He needs that touchdown to have a good week.
Yeah.
Aaron Jones, I'm lower on this week. Minnesota's defense is good. Look what they did against Devontae Freeman.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean Aaron Jones had a bad week 1, week 2. I got to get rid of him, right?
Right.
They played the Packers, and they're playing.
The Bears. They're playing the Bears. Yeah, and the Vikings. Yeah.
And not the Packers. They played the Bears and the Vikings. Those are 2 tough matchups.
He'll do better throughout the rest of the year.
You got to hold on to Aaron Jones, and this is the buy low candidate for me. I think the talent's there. Jamal Williams had 5 carries for 0 yards. So I don't think there's really any competition there.
There isn't.
I think Aaron Jones is a superior back there, and he's a buy low candidate. As far as, he had a bad week 1, and if he has another bad week, the owner's going to, start panicking. So
I think if he does bad this week, you're right. That's a good buy low candidate. Next game we're going to get into the Dallas Cowboys at the Washington Redskins.
I'm high on almost every Cowboy.
Cowboy.
You seen last week Dak Prescott? He threw the ball a lot. Yeah,
he looked good.
And everyone is involved. Amari Cooper was involved. Michael Gallup was involved. Yeah. Even their 2 tight ends. Witten had a touchdown. The other tight end,
Jarwin.
Yeah, Jarwin had a touchdown. I think that this is a good matchup. You've seen what the Philadelphia Eagles did. You know, they kind of stifled at half, and then everyone's like, "What's going on?"
Right.
And then it's like, well, yeah.
Redskins are a bottom 5 team in the league.
Yeah, they're not a good team.
Yeah, so
I'm not concerned with the Cowboys. I love all the Cowboys. Elliott to me, high end running back 1.
Prescott will be a middle tier QB1, I think.
Yep. To me, Cooper's a wide receiver 1 this week. I'm not concerned about that.
Gallup's a good flex play, if not wide receiver 2.
Yeah, I was most impressed with Gallup. He had 7 for 158, and 158 is. That's what you like to see. And it wasn't like a 4 for 158. Like
Marquise Brown.
He had like 3 big catches. It's 7 for 158. I feel a lot more comfortable on because the targets are there. It wasn't like he had one huge play that kind of supplemented everything else. So I'm high on Gallup. I didn't draft him in some of my leagues, but
I was targeting him, but I
picked him up on free agency, and that's because of reports out of training camp where he was tearing it up, and obviously week 1 he teared it up against a bad Giants secondary.
And now it's
a bad Redskins team.
Yeah, if you have a Cowboy in your team, you might as well start him. I can't imagine many people own Jason Witten or Blake Jarwin, but
those are flyers.
Those are flyers.
Don't have Ertz, Kelsey, whoever, Ingram.
Right. If Austin Hooper's not gonna save your life, so you might as well.
For the Redskins. I don't love the matchup against the Dallas defense. I love one part of I love 2 actually. I'll say this. I like Adrian Peterson this week. I think he's in for a good week. Geis out indefinitely. We don't know when he's coming back.
Oh yeah,
if he comes back
torn
at
meniscus,
all this year.
I think. Yeah.
So I like Peterson as like an RB2, low end RB2.
I agree.
The Dallas struggles against tight ends and just the matchup numbers.
Are you targeting Jordan Reed? You think
if Jordan Reed plays, yeah, but I'm definitely targeting Vernon Davis. This guy they talk about Tom Brady defying time. This guy defies time as well. Everyone wants to kick Vernon Davis out of the league. He's, this guy's too old, kind of like a Delaney Walker. These guys are, 10-year vets, But did you see that touchdown reception he had last week? If you didn't, I would definitely go watch it. This guy is still a beast. He's in great shape. It's a good matchup. I think they're going to have to throw the ball a lot because they're not really going to be in control of the game. So I like Vernon Davis this week.
You think Case Keenum lights it up?
Not this week.
Neither do I.
But he may finish with 300 yards passing, but I don't think he has a great week.
Right. I was surprised to see. I think he was the top passer last week, wasn't he? He had the most passing yards.
He had a really good week, but I'm not high on him this week.
Yeah. And I think that says more about the Eagles, which we'll get into later. Next game on the schedule, Seattle Seahawks at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Interesting matchup for these teams, and I think.
Well, I'm definitely starting Schuster. You've seen what the Cincinnati Bengals did in the passing game.
Yeah.
I'm starting Schuster. It's
a
high-end wide receiver one.
I agree.
Ben Roethlisberger at home always is a start because he does a lot better at
always
home than
is
on
a
the
start?
road. Yeah, he does a lot better at home.
Okay.
The splits are just significant. So I'm starting Roethlisberger. I'm starting Schuster. I would take a flyer on a James Washington as a flex.
If you're looking for.
There'll be some big plays here. I don't love Seattle's secondary. James Conner is a good start.
Right.
I mean, they did stifle Joe Mixon, but that's in Seattle. I think at Pittsburgh, Joe Mixon gets a touchdown.
Yeah. And I feel like all of the whole Pittsburgh offense kind of gets a bad rap because they got absolutely demolished by
it was a bad game all around.
Right.
I think they're.
I don't think that happens again. Yeah. And so I agree with most of that. I don't think Ben Roethlisberger's a guaranteed start. I see him more as a QB2. But if the Seattle secondary is as bad as you say, then I think, he could have a day.
Yeah.
Depending on.
I'm a little bit disappointed in Vance McDonald.
So am I. I expected him to do a lot more.
I think he has a bounce back week this week.
You think?
I think their whole team does. I think everyone has it, gets back, and everyone could have a chance as a good week. I just disappointed what I saw. He had a drop. He wasn't really open that much. Hightower just shadowed him, and they couldn't do anything. So I was disappointed in Vance McDonald.
Yep. Going into the Seattle side of the ball, Russell Wilson's a good start. Chris Carson's a good start.
Well, Chris Carson's a phenomenal start, and this is depending on when you drafted.
Right.
I drafted Chris Carson the 6th round, and that's crazy.
That's pretty good value.
Yeah, pretty good. He's an RB1, and he's definitely an RB1.
Yeah, I made a tweet a while ago saying that I don't think Chris Carson holds the job by the end of the year.
But he looks significantly more impressive than Rashad Penny. And Penny only had 7 carries.
I would like to take that back. I'd like to take my.
And Carson, all the word was out. They were going to get him involved more in the passing game, and he did. He had a receiving touchdown and 6 catches. So
yeah,
I'm very high on Chris Carson. He's an RB1. I don't see him having a bad week. He rolls in the end zone this week, whether it's in the air or through the ground. I think he gets a touchdown.
I think Tyler Lockett, a good flex option.
Well, you talked about how I kind of talked about it, and I don't know if you agreed with me, but I thought just the volume's not there to be elite. He had one play for that 40-something yard touchdown, and that saved his day. That was it. He didn't. I don't know the exact numbers in front of me, but he only had like 2 catches. Yeah. And Metcalf had a better day. He had
Metcalf
7 for
had
90.
It
was just like I'm not high on Tyler Lockett. To me, if he doesn't get you that big 40-yard touchdown, you're in trouble.
I wonder. Yeah, I'm curious if Metcalf has a better week than Lockett again. Then
I'll pull up Lockett's exact stat line here in a second as we talk. But
yeah, I had Metcalf on my bench and he scored like 10 points. And when I saw that, I was like, "Sheesh!" I was not expecting Metcalf to get much attention at all because rookie wide receivers usually don't get that much attention. But no, Metcalf definitely had a better week than what I expected.
Yeah, Tyler Lockett had 1 catch for 44 yards. So his 1 catch was a touchdown.
Sheesh.
That's what I'm concerned about with Lockett. Everyone had him as like a high-end wide receiver too. I'm like, I just don't see the volume being there.
I had him lower end wide receiver too because I thought he'd be able to maintain that number 1 spot. But if Metcalf keeps playing the way he does, no sir.
I'm not in love with because I think anything can happen. They have Jerron Brown there. They have DJ Moore. They have so many different receivers.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, I don't know who's going to get the lion's share, per se. So I'm not as high on the pass catcher. I think you're good starting Wilson and you're good starting Chris Carson. Those are my confident starts.
And if you need a flyer at flex, Metcalf could possibly, but we'll have to see.
Yeah.
I don't know the tight. Will Dissly.
I'm not high on their tight ends.
Don't start him. Next game, we are going to get into the Buffalo Bills at the New York Giants. What an interesting game for.
What a game there. That is the best game of the week.
Yes. Josh Allen, QB2 again.
QB2.
You think so?
He had his rushing ability keeps him in that low end quarterback one because
you think so?
He just
the Giants defense is so bad. I wouldn't be surprised.
To me, Josh Allen's a low end quarterback one. It's a good matchup for him.
Yeah, I agree. You talked me into it, I think, because the Giants defense is not good.
John Brown flex option for me at wide receiver.
Flyer, I think. I still don't trust him.
I like him a lot more than Cole Beasley and Zay Jones and the rest of that pass catcher. His role is always a deep ball threat, and he had 100.
I agree with that.
He had a good week last week. I think he's a flex option for me.
Right. I don't trust any of the receivers over there. I'm thinking they're going to give Devin Singletary more attention this week.
Yeah, he was efficient last week. So.
Yeah, and he only had 4 carries.
Yeah, that's
compared to Frank Gore, who had like 11 and only had like 30 some yards.
Yeah, when they got rid of LaShawn McCoy, everyone thought, okay, it's going to be him now, right? And he didn't have that many touches.
So I wonder if because of the high efficiency that he had, I wonder if they give him more carries this week. If they continue to go with that committee, yikes. And then
the Giants for me.
Giants.
Barkley's an easy.
Barkley's the start.
One.
No discussion.
I don't love Eli Manning against the Bills defense.
I don't like Daniel Jones either. They both played last week, didn't they?
Yeah. I like Evan Ingram.
Evan Ingram's a great
high
start.
On Ingram. I was high. I don't know if I was high on him, but I didn't expect 118 yards that good of a week.
See, I didn't either, but more than
when I talked about him early on in the year, I said he's going to be the focal point on the offense as far as passing game.
Right.
And until Golden Tate returns, he could get 10, 12 targets a game until Golden Tate returns.
And I think he's in for a big day against the Bills defense. I don't know
what the Bills have a good defense, but I just think Ingram's in for
Ingram has the talent to kind of.
He's got a high floor this week, I think.
Right. I don't know the receivers on that team.
Shepard to me,
don't start him.
Shepard's a flex option.
You think so?
Yeah, I don't love the other receivers there, and so I would start Shepard as a flex option.
Don't start Sterling Shepard. All right, next game. Quick score prediction. Who wins? Bills Giants. Score prediction.
The Giants and Bills.
That's
gonna be a low scoring game. I'll do 20-17 Bills.
Oh, that's not low scoring.
Well, it's not high scoring in today's NFL.
Good point.
The Ravens put up 59 points.
Speaking of the Dolphins, who the Ravens put up 59 points again.
Okay, this game's going to be 83-7.
83-7.
You heard it here first.
Heard it here first. New England Patriots at Miami Dolphins. I would start every Patriot you own.
And if you don't own them, trade for them. Start them.
Yeah, Tom Brady's in for a big day. I didn't think he'd do that well this year. Clearly, I'm wrong.
Well, now it's different because heading into the year, Josh Gordon was questionable to whether he'd play or not.
Now he's playing.
They got Gordon and Antonio Brown. It's just like there's too many weapons for him not to be good. So heading into the year, it was like Edelman and there's no there's that obvious concern, but now there's no concern.
Right. Weird situation with Antonio Brown. I still think he's going to play this week. I would still start him. Julian Edelman's a good start.
Everyone's a good start.
Everyone's a good start. I don't see
any way they don't score 50 points.
If you would like to give the game away, you can start the Dolphins defense, see how that does for you.
I don't see how the Patriots don't score 50 this week. The Ravens scored 59.
And they scored.
The Patriots have to score 50 this week. They might get to the point where they just take Tom Brady out and put Stidham in there because they love him. And this is not even be close. It might be 21-0.
They beat Pittsburgh, who's a good team, by 30.
It might be 21-0 after first quarter, just like
it might be 28-0. You're gonna average 4 touchdowns a quarter.
I think I'm not high on any Dolphins. I was disappointed in Kenny and Drake.
Yeah, so was I, because I had them ranked, I think 16th or 17th. he did not play good, and he didn't even get the large percentage of the
No.
carries. So
I'm off every Miami Dolphin.
yeah,
That's just a disaster.
they put Josh Rosen in there for a
You
series.
can't even start their kicker.
No, I wouldn't start their kicker. No.
There's nobody on the Miami Dolphins that you can play in panic. Not even their defense or kicker.
Yeah, Fitzpatrick threw, I think, 2 picks.
Oh, that's
Rosen
not a
running there for a
surprise.
series. He threw a pick.
There's nothing to write home about on the Dolphins.
Yeah, and this will probably be the last time we talk about the Dolphins this year. Going into the next game, Kansas City Chiefs at the Oakland Raiders. Interesting game for both teams. Mahomes is still playing, so I would start him, of course.
You would start Mahomes?
Really? Is that a questionable decision?
No, that's sarcasm.
I know. I'm just messing with you. Running back.
To me, Mahomes is like a high-end quarterback too.
Oh, really? Is that how you feel?
I think he might get 250 yards passing. It
Might get
depends
250 yards.
on like after the first quarter.
See, I don't. The Raiders aren't that bad. I know you're just joshing around.
Well,
but
they lost their safety for the year. That Abram,
did they?
yeah, that young rookie, they lost him out for the year. Gary Conley had a terrible neck injury. I don't know if you
Yeah.
watched it, but I guess he will play this week. But the Raiders' defense is nothing to write home about. I think this is more about the Denver Broncos not being as sharp as they should be. They were
I
kind of
agree.
rusty, and so I think
that's a game that Kansas City wins. I think.
they win handily.
Yeah, and so
It is in Oakland, so I mean, whatever that's worth. I'm not scared off of any.
one of the Chiefs players might get injured trying to run on the horrible turf that they have. Sammy Watkins, I'm gonna double down. I don't think he's in for a huge day like he had last week. I mean, of course.
Who's going to catch the ball? If Mahomes throws for 400 yards, what is Kelsey going to go for 270? Then they're still 130. So it's like,
Well, I think they
there's-
spread the ball. What I see, I think they spread the ball more, right? I don't think Sammy Watkins and Travis Kelce are the
who?
only people.
who's getting the ball there? I mean,
I
you think they spread the ball to who? Tyreek Hill, who's on it? Not
Tyreek Hill. I don't know the name. You're putting me on the spot. You're putting me in a bad position.
I mean, obviously Watkins is the best receiving option. They got McCole Hardman.
That's who I was. Yeah.
They got Kelsey. They got obviously LaShawn McCoy, Damian Williams.
See, they ran more of a committee this past week, and I don't know if I'd start any of them because I know a lot of people are really
They're
high
flex
on.
options for me because
Yeah.
the matchup is so good.
So I saw some guy rank Damian Williams as like the 8th running back this week. That's not going to happen. Don't start.
Well,
Don't.
McCoy looked really good. He was efficient, and he just
Yeah.
I think he averaged 8 yards a touch. So
And I don't know if it's a hot hand situation or if they're always going to run committee. What that situation looks
yeah,
like.
I think the Chiefs, it's kind of like the Patriots. I think there's a very low chance any of you're gonna have a good week if you start a Kansas City Chief. This
Running
is
back,
one
yeah.
bust potential for me, and I'm high on him, Josh Jacobs.
Okay.
I just think the game script could get out of hand to where he had 23 carries last week. I just think they're not. It's not gonna be. To me, it's not gonna be a close game.
You don't think so?
I like the Raiders. I like John Gruden, but they are significantly less talented than the Chiefs, and I think this
agree.
could be a game where I'm high on Derek Carr this week because it's at home. The defense for the Chiefs is not very good.
Not very good. I think
Derek Carr to me this is a good week to start him.
Tyrell Williams is someone who his value is starting to spike up, especially
Yeah.
with Antonio Brown leaving.
He
I think
looked,
he's more.
he looked really good.
He did look really good. I think he's a wide receiver 2 play this week.
Yeah.
You talked about Josh Jacobs. I kind of agree. I don't know if it gets out of hand that quickly. I think if, by the end of the third quarter they start realizing, oh shoot, we need to pass more. But I think by then he'll already have 15, if not more carries.
Josh Jacobs a player. I just don't think this is a good week for him. I'm still
Okay.
starting him, but
Yeah.
I don't expect 100 yards and 2 touchdowns.
You think
this
RB2?
week. Yeah.
Okay.
Darren Waller, someone that
He surprised
kind of
me.
came in late, and everyone
Yeah.
picked him up at the start of the year, and he looked good.
He did look good. He's a low end tight
end
end 1, I think. Yeah. I was not expecting him to do as well as he did.
I mean, he only had but 7 for 70 is good for a tight
Yeah.
end, especially if you're in a PPR league. That's still good.
That's, considering Blake Jarwin and all these other
Yeah.
no
I mean,
names.
Most weeks, you just want your tight end to get you 70 yards receiving, and then if he gets you that touchdown, then you're good there.
Yeah.
You can't expect a tight end for 180 and a touchdown a week. That just doesn't happen.
Oh, yeah. Next game, the New Orleans Saints at the Los Angeles Rams.
I think this is going to be the highest
scoring game of the week.
Highest scoring fantasy game of the week. I
I
talked about
agree.
the Texans Saints being the
Yeah.
one last week. I think this is the week where it could be 44-41.
Any game with the Saints is going to be. I'm just kidding. But Drew Brees is a good play, of course.
Yeah.
Alvin Kamara, of course. Latavius Murray, I don't know if I'm. I know you have him on your bench. I don't know if I'm as high on him as.
He's definitely a flex play for me.
You think so?
Yeah, he's just. I think this week they talked about they don't want Kamara to get that many touches because he is smaller back. They want to have him for the whole year in playoffs.
Playoffs, yeah.
And Murray, he had that impressive 30-yard touchdown run. Murray's just a bigger, but he's 6'3", 220. He's a big back.
Yeah.
And they like him. And
does he get attention in the passing game, Latavius Murray?
I think he had 2 catches last week, so
not much.
It's better than nothing,
yeah.
Obviously, but. To me, he's a flex option. He's a great handcuff because if something ever happened to Kamara,
right,
there's no one behind Latavius Murray. There's just no one there. So
and he's going to get all the attention there.
So to me, he's a flex option. Michael Thomas,
of
wide
course.
receiver 1.
Yeah.
I mean, last year when they played the Rams, he had 100. He had a great. I don't have the number right in front of me, but he had a big week against the Rams last year. I don't think they can cover him.
He had a great week against most teams last year, so not much discussion there.
Jared Cook, to me, I is a little bit disappointed. 37 yards receiving.
Only 4 points.
But I'm not cutting bait from him.
Neither would I.
He's still.
He's
a low end tight end 1 for me.
Yeah, if he's the only tight end you got, I think he's still a good play.
And I think this game's gonna be so high scoring that he could get you that touchdown.
He can get you a touchdown for sure.
I think this is gonna be like I said, 44-4. It's gonna be close to 40s for each team.
Really?
Yeah.
That doesn't happen often, but I think it's possible.
Well, last year the Chiefs
Rams
was 55-50. So I think this is a 40-40 game.
That was a crazy game.
To me, I'm high on Jared Goff this week.
Goff will do well.
Saints secondary is not very good.
They're not good.
And you've seen what happened with a minute left in the game. Deshaun Watson only needed 2 passes, and he was already down the field. And without that pass rush, they're very pedestrian secondary. And at Los Angeles, that's a tough environment to play in. I'm high on Goff. I'm high on all the receivers, even though Cooks had a bad week last week. This is a game where it's going to be high scoring, I think. So I'm high on Cooks, I'm high on Kupp, and I'm high on Robert Woods.
So yeah, and I agree with you on all those fronts. Interesting conversation to talk about the Rams backfield.
Yeah.
My oh my, what a confusing situation that is. We all expected Todd Gurley to get a good amount of carries, and then Darrell Henderson to kind of back him up and get.
Henderson was non-existent. I was kind of.
He didn't get a single carry.
I was
like, what? And then Malcolm Brown got all the goal line attention. Nobody was talking about him.
Yeah.
Before the season started.
Yeah, I was definitely wrong on that, and it's still time for that to change. It's still week 2 now only.
Yeah.
But that was disappointing for me.
Everybody was wrong on that. I don't think there's a single person that predicted Malcolm Brown was gonna get 10 carries for 2 touchdowns or whatever.
I thought it would have been Henderson over Brown, but
so did
there's
I.
a reason why they matched. The Lions tried to sign him, and they matched that offer. They wanted him back, and obviously they showed why. Gurley had 14 carries for 97 yards. That's
disappointing.
Good. That's not disappointing. That's pretty good average.
You think so?
For only 14 carries?
Okay. I guess I'm thinking about, because some people drafted him 3rd or 4th round. If that's my 3rd or 4th round pick, I would be disappointed. But for
that's 7 yards a carry. That's a pretty good game for him. He just didn't roll in the end zone.
Okay.
97 yards. I talked about Gurley having a limited role, and obviously he did because he didn't get the goal line carries.
Yeah.
And Malcolm Brown had 2 rushing touchdowns. So
I'm curious to see what his stat line looks like.
But he still had an average of 7 yards a carry.
I'd still start him. Yeah. I think he's still running back too.
It's kind of like it's like that evil cousin he's got that steals a touchdown.
Yeah.
Gurley, if he had the touchdown or 2, then he'd
easily be great. Yeah. If he had those goal line carries.
Last year. That's what he had last year.
Right.
Malcolm Brown didn't get those goal line carries, so it's kind of like that evil cousin that he has that he just can't. He's just stealing away the touchdowns.
Yeah.
So it limits Gurley's fantasy week, obviously.
You think Darrell Henderson gets a carry this week? I hope so.
I would hope so.
You were really high on Darrell Henderson.
And there's still time for that to change.
There is still time for that. I think I wouldn't start Henderson. I wouldn't start Malcolm Brown either.
Well, I would not start Henderson because we don't know what his role is.
You didn't get a single carry.
I was pretty disappointed in that. And Gurley looked better than I thought he would. I didn't think he would go 14 for 97. So
yeah, that was probably the biggest surprise for me. Was Henderson.
You're high on Thomas, obviously. Michael Thomas.
Michael Thomas.
Yeah,
of course.
Just checking.
Why is that question? Now, Chicago Bears at the Denver Broncos. This is a game that Chicago should win pretty handily, but I wonder what the offense looks like. Their offense did not look good against Green Bay Packers. Trubisky was less than pedestrian. He was kind of, I don't know what the next lowest term for pedestrian would be, but
All right.
yeah. So
Yeah, I'm disappointed in Trubisky. I thought he'd take the third year step and because he's got that
Kinda elevate.
second year in Matt Nagy's system, and he looked very, very limited.
yeah, and then Tariq Cohen got a good amount of
Well, they
attention.
should just designate him as a wide receiver because I think he lined up like over 90% of the snaps he played. He was lined up as a wide receiver.
Yeah, as a slot. Yeah,
And so it's kind of like one of those weird things where he's listed as a running back, but he's
Right.
really a wide receiver. So
and Mike Davis, I was not expecting him to get any carries. He got like 11,
Yeah.
didn't he?
yeah, I think what will happen is over the course of the season, David Montgomery will take over, and
I agree.
because he just looks better than the other two as far as running.
Oh,
the
yeah.
ball. I mean, he had one carry where he only got like 5 yards, but I was like, that's a great 5 yard run because he was stopped
Right.
like 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage. So people don't know that. Like, running backs mostly start 7
Yeah.
yards deep, and he got stopped. The defense was in the backfield at about 5 yards. He shook two tacklers, did like a spin move, and got 5 yards. And on the stat sheet, that doesn't look great, but that's
Right.
like,
If you don't watch a game, you don't know. But
Yeah.
like, I feel this is.
I think he looked better than his numbers.
Yeah, and Montgomery, I don't know if he gets that attention this week. The Broncos front seven is loaded per usual.
But Josh Jacobs had a really good week against them.
That's a good.
I give him
you're
that
right.
was in Oakland. It wasn't in
Right.
Denver, so I don't
High
like. I don't like
altitude.
it. I don't like the Bears at Denver this week. I think that's a tough matchup.
That is a tough matchup. I still think they kind of pull out the win. I think it's a low scoring game, but I'm not too confident in any of the wide receivers. I think
Allen Robinson looked good week one.
he did look good, but I don't know if that's what's gonna happen. Who do they have at? Did they have Chris Harris Jr.? Is that
they
still
got,
their number
they
one?
got Harris there, and the name's blanking on me. It's not Talib anymore. It's the name's blanking on me. But the second
Right.
corner there he got torn up last week,
Okay.
and so.
So is this looking like a Taylor Gabriel coming out party, or is this?
Well, I think it could be Anthony Miller or Taylor Gabriel. So we
Anthony
don't know.
Miller,
It could
that's
be
who I
even
meant,
Tariq
yeah.
Cohen. It could be any of those guys because
Right.
they all kind of line up at the slot and receiver spot. So
Yeah.
to me, I don't. You got to be really.
You're really
crazy
limited
to,
with-
to
yeah.
be able to pick that one guy that'll get you that touchdown.
Yeah.
So I'm not high on the wide receivers. Other than I would probably play Allen Robinson as a flex option.
But I would agree. Trey Burns, no discussion there. Bye. Going into the Denver offense, Joe Flacco still sucks. Talk about the running backs. Philip Lindsay didn't do that bad, but I don't think he does.
Well, this is why I wasn't high on Lindsey. I had him as like ranked in the 21 to 24
So did I,
range.
yeah.
So
I don't
I
think-
still think he's talented. I think but I just don't love the overall Broncos team.
I
don't
think they
there's-
shut him down like they did to Aaron Jones. I think it's the same situation with Philip
Yeah,
Lindsay.
it's not a good matchup.
Yeah, I agree. And then the wide receivers, Cortland Sutton did pretty well last week. I don't know if he continues that this week.
I think it's a tough week for Sutton. He's probably going to get lined up against the names blank on me. Kyle Fuller. I think
Right.
he gets a lot of Kyle Fuller. I like Sanders this week. Oh, you seen
Yeah.
last week Sanders. I keep bringing him up. It's almost like people forget how talented he is.
Yeah, he's probably the most consistent receiver there in Denver.
Well,
like,
he's
past-
just always put up numbers when
Yeah.
he plays. No matter Trevor Siemian,
Right.
He did really well with Peyton Manning. Whoever's there, he's a good receiver.
Yeah.
and he had a good week last week.
Yeah. Noah Fant, I'm still waiting for him to break out. He's not going to do a whole lot.
Yeah, to me, he's untrustable right now.
Untrusted. Yeah, I would agree. Going into the next game, Sunday night, game of the week, the Philadelphia Eagles at the Atlanta Falcons. You said the Saints-Rams is going to be real high scoring. I think this is going to be a high scoring
Oh
game
yeah,
too.
I agree with that.
Because the secondaries in both teams are
This
not
is
good.
going to be
Besides
this is gonna
the
be a fun
one
game to watch. I think.
Yeah. Besides Desmond Trufant, there's not a lot of good corner talent in that game. I would start most of the receivers in there. I think Deshaun Jackson's in for a good week. Who's the other? What Philly? Alshon Jeffrey. I think Alshon Jeffrey's in for a good week.
Well, Jeffrey had 2 touchdowns, and I think
Yeah.
people forget about he's another good receiver.
Right.
He's just
he's not a household name, but
no,
he still
he's
has
not a
good
household
value.
name, but he's a good receiver. He's
Yeah.
a wide receiver too.
Yeah, and
On
so
a good offense. So
Zach Ertz will do well. The running back situation, I think they're still doing a committee over there. So
yeah, I'm highest on Sanders.
Right, because I think he's the most potential
for the long term. But yeah, I don't know who to start this week. Jordan Howard, like there's no one that really took over.
There's no one's there. Yeah, no,
So-
there's no one that's too explosive.
To me, Jordan, like you'd be really hurting to start Jordan Howard at flex.
Yeah,
But I wouldn't be opposed to starting Miles Sanders as a flex because
this could be the game he breaks out. Right,
he is a talented player. So if
Yeah.
you start him at flex, that's not bad. But I would not be starting, Darren Sproles or Jordan Howard at flex. I think that's a long shot.
yeah. Jay's not there, isn't he?
No.
No, I didn't think so. Carson Wentz. I think this is going to be a great week for him. I think this is a good start.
Yeah, he looked a little bit rusty in the first half, and that's because he didn't really
Right,
play.
yeah.
But you seen in the second half, he looks like an MVP.
Yeah.
He just looks great.
And you might say, oh, well, that's against the Washington Redskins. Well, it's going to be the same. Like the defense of the
You got to play
Falcons
who
is
you
not.
play.
Yeah,
You can't you play who's on your schedule. And
Right.
Carson Wentz just looks amazing. He looked like he did when he was in that 2017 year when he
Oh,
was
yeah.
in the
Going
running for
off,
MVP
yeah.
until he got hurt.
yeah. And so and the Atlanta defense is not the best in
Nothing
the
to
world.
write home about.
No,
I think this is this game's going to be. I thought it was 44-41 in the Rams Saints game. I think this is probably 30. Each team's right around 30.
I agree. Like
30
30 to 28.
27 to 35 is what I think.
I hear
in
you.
there. And I think this is going to be a lot of passing.
Yeah.
Just a lot of. We skipped over Freeman.
Well, we didn't talk
him
about
in
the. We didn't talk about the.
Oh yeah. So let's get into Falcons really quick.
Yeah.
To me, we talked about Freeman in the question. I think this is not a good matchup, and he didn't look good in week
Yeah.
1. He shared the backfield with Ito Smith. I don't love him this week.
I think
I think he's
could
a
get.
low end RB2 because I think there's going to be some goal line carries, and I think Freeman will get those.
Yeah, if he gets goal line carries, that's really all the potential you're looking for. Otherwise, he's a low end RB2 in my opinion.
Yeah.
And so Matt Ryan will do well. I think he's one of the best starts this week along
Yeah,
with
he's going
Carson
to be
Wentz.
a top 5 quarterback this
Yeah.
week.
Julio Jones, you're never going to sit him. Even if he's hurt, you're not sitting him. Calvin Ridley, I think Calvin Ridley could have a good week. I don't know what he looked like last week.
He had I think it was 4 for 64 and a touchdown, and
And that's not a lot, but I think
64 yards and a touchdown. I'll take that every week from Calvin Ridley if he.
I
can do
agree.
that. That's he on my team. He's my wide receiver too.
Right.
And so I'll take 64 yards and a touchdown.
and I think he'll get more receptions this week. I think.
Yeah,
he'll get more
I think
targets.
I think he's very talented. Like
I agree.
For some reason, they still have Mohamed Sanu
You're right.
as their wide receiver 2 outside. I think they got to get the ball to Ridley more often. He's very good with the ball in his hands. He burned the Vikings DB on that touchdown play. It was a really good play. Julio Jones is still the guy there, but Ridley to me I'm high on. He's more of a talented player than like his numbers may show.
I agree. Austin Hooper, don't start Austin Hooper.
I mean, he didn't have a terrible week.
He didn't have a terrible week.
If you're in a PPR league and you're scratching that tight end, Hooper to me is a start.
Hooper's
I think
a
he
start.
had 8 receptions last week.
All right. I thought he had a little less, but yeah.
In standard league, it's nothing to write home about. But
I agree.
8 receptions. If he gets you 5-6 catches, then that's fine. It's not a 0 on the stat sheet.
Yeah. I'll quit racking on Austin Hooper. But that is Sunday night. Going into the Monday night game, the Cleveland Browns at the New York Jets. I hope you find something else to watch in terms of.
Well, we didn't bring
this
this up in the news and notes, but Sam Darnold is out.
As mono,
Yeah, so.
Trevor Siemian. I would not start a Jets player besides
I would start
Le'Veon Bell.
because I just think
Besides
the
Le'Veon
volume's
Bell.
going to be there. But
Any of the Jets pass catchers, Robbie Anderson is not going to do well if Trevor Siemian's quarterback. Neither is
I obviously because I'm not high on him anymore because Darnold's not playing. But
Right.
But the guy I picked up on waivers, Jamison Crowder, had 17 targets last week and had 14 receptions. That is, I didn't see him getting that kind of role coming over from Washington.
that's 7 points by itself. If you get no yards, you already
Well, in
have
half PPR. In a full PPR, that's 14 points and
Yeah.
just receptions. But
Our league's half
17
PPRs.
targets is what I'm looking at.
Right.
It's just like 17. You know,
That's a lot.
Quincy Enunwa's out with another serious neck injury. Anderson is
Anderson didn't
banged
get
up a little bit,
yeah.
and if he does, he got shut down last week, and that's why Crowder was able to go. So I still like Jamison Crowder holding them on to your bench, and
Okay.
if you're really desperate at flex, he may get you 6-7.
If you're really desperate to flex, yeah, Anderson or Crowder could be.
Oh, I'm not in on Anderson this week.
He got less time.
I think Anderson needs Darnold there to be considered.
You think
each
so?
Week. To me, Anderson.
The reason I think he got shut down is because he matched up against Tre'Davious White on the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, that wasn't good.
Who is an amazing quarterback, right?
But Denzel Ward's a pretty good corner himself, and I just think I'm not starting Robbie Anderson. Not even as a flex.
Well, I'm in a tough position because I think I was going to start him with Sam Darnold. Now that he's out, I'm starting Jared Cook over him. Any of the Jets pass catchers are not.
Yeah, the only one I'm
options.
starting is Le'Veon Bell, and if Le'Veon Bell doesn't play and you have him on your team, then you have to be able to pivot, and that's why I say put him at flex because if he doesn't play, you can start Njoku, Landry, Crowder, anyone. Because
if you're able to pick up Ty Montgomery, maybe.
But make sure he's in your flex because in the flex you can pivot. If you use your flex spot in Sunday and then you have him as your running back, you have to play a running back.
Yeah, you got to play.
So you got to
Ty Montgomery or
you got to know put him in flex, and if he doesn't
practice
play,
squad player for the Browns.
It,
yeah.
right?
So going into the Browns offense, they looked really bad against the Titans.
And I wasn't surprised. I told you the Titans defense is really good. I told you to temper expectations on the Browns, and I think the Browns are in for a better week.
I think they're in for a better week. I do think the Jets' run defense is better than the pass defense, so I think Nick Chubb I think you should temper your expectations with Nick Chubb a little bit. But I think guys like Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry, Njoku, I think those guys are going to be in for a solid day.
I think this is a coming out party for the Browns. I think on Monday night, I think they're going to be. I think they're
against Trevor Siemian.
And the Jets are kind of limited now. It's not like the Jets are at full strength, so I think they come out and I think they're going to have a good week to me. I'm not tempering my expectations.
59-10 or
no. I think this is probably if I had to guess the score, I'd say probably 27-14 or something like that.
Yeah.
I think the Browns win handily, but it's on the road. So if you win by more than 10 points on the road, that's winning handily. I think they win handily here.
Handily.
I like Beckham this week. He's probably going to get matched up against Tremaine Johnson. That's an easy matchup for Beckham.
Yeah.
And
do you agree with me on the Nick Chubb? Or are you thinking he does better?
I'm still thinking he's an RB1, and
I think he's an RB2
the Browns
this
will
week.
be moving the ball a lot this week, and he's gonna get red zone carries, and I like Nick Chubb this week.
Yeah, I like him as an RB2. I think
he played against a tough Tennessee run defense, and he still had 75 yards rushing on 14 carries. The game script wasn't there because he couldn't run the ball in the fourth quarter. They were down. But he still had 14. He still had a good week as far as yards per carry, and he just got game scripted out.
Okay.
I was disappointed he wasn't involved heavily in the passing game, but I think he's in for a good week, and I think they'll be winning, and he will have second half carries to ice the game down.
That's a good point. You have a good point there. Well, that's all the games this week. Right before we go, I just want to ask Nick one more question. Did you win this week in fantasy?
This week?
This week.
You mean week 1?
This past week, yep.
No, I was 0-4.
And ask me if I won? Ask me.
Did you win?
Yes, I did. 1-0. Nick is 0-1. Therefore, I'm smarter.
I'm 0 in all my leagues. I had a bad week 1, and it's not a good week 1. I'm like the Browns. I'm in for a bounce back this week.
Hey, you know what? I'm 1-0. I think that proves I know more than Nick.
But the number one important thing to know about fantasy is it's not a 1 week season.
I agree.
It's a 16.
There's a lot of people that are gonna overreact to stuff like the Browns, or Aaron Jones, or some of these guys who didn't do well week 1.
Yeah, one of my friends asked me, and it wasn't you, Kip, so I'm not saying it was you. But one of my friends asked me if they should drop Brandon Cooks. I said,
"What
are you?" I was like, "Drop? No."
Now that makes me want to trade for Brandon Cooks. If people think he's worth dropping,
no, it's just like people relax.
Yeah.
Like Aaron Rodgers, RELAX.
Yeah, I agree. And the fantasy season in the long run is really run by trades, waiver wire pickups.
I'll just say this: last year in the league, I was 0-3 to start the year. I made a trade and I picked up a free agent off waivers, and I was able to pick up Nick Chubb in week 10 off waivers. And that team, I lost only one game the rest of the year, and I won the championship. So 0-3 to start the year, and I still won the championship. So you're
chase
not
your dreams, kids. Yeah. So that's gonna be it for the podcast this week. Thank you guys for listening. As always, Tell your friends about the podcast. Tell your friends about Primetime Fantasy. We're always looking for new viewers, new people to listen. And we appreciate all your support that you've given us already. Check us on social media at primetime_fantasy on Instagram and at priti, PRITI_fantasy on Twitter. We're posting stuff every day. We should be at least.
And you're posting your articles on the
Yes,
the
I have the
internet.
redesigned articles section, Pogs block. You can check that out for my best and worst starts every week. And I'm going to be posting a lot more on there in the future. So thank you guys for listening as always, and enjoy your day. Peace.